Yo, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In case you guys don't know who I am, I'm 19 years old. My name is Christian Compion, and I do high ticket sales for a living. Up to this point this year, I've cash collected over $500,000 in the high ticket sales space, selling courses, communities, mentorships, B2B services for all sorts of influencers across the industry. And today's video is going to be super specific, going over the different types of questions, generally speaking. You have two types of questions you can ask on your high ticket sales calls. You have open ended questions and you have closed ended questions. The first part of the video is going to go a little bit deeper into the value and the power behind asking more open ended questions in your sales calls. And then we'll also get into closed ended questions as well. Now, by all means, open ended questions and closed ended questions, they go hand in hand. But what I found personally from my experience is open ended questions are a lot more powerful in a sense because they allow you they allow the prospect to speak more, and it doesn't feel from the prospect's point of view that you're just asking them questions to get a yes or no response out of them, right? Now, with that being said, closed-ended questions are still very powerful when it comes down to getting clear tie downs and clear sort of yes or no responses with super important information that I'll be walking you guys towards the end of this video. But overall, the biggest thing I want you guys to learn from this is not just, yes, I gave you guys a bunch of examples of the questions I'm going to go over with you guys and like why I'm asking these questions. But the biggest thing that I want you guys to be able to take away from this video is, am I asking enough open-ended questions? Am I asking too little closed-ended questions? And if so, what sort of open-ended questions and closed-ended questions can I start implementing for my offer specifically, for my ICP specifically, from the sort of objections that I'm getting on my calls? Like, what sort of questions can I start implementing more of from either open-ended or closed-ended? Maybe you might need to do less of one of the either. Just completely depends on how you guys are doing in sales at the moment. Take on it from that point of view on what you can add specifically to your offer, because the types of questions I'm going to go over in this video, they're all going to just be personal. Let's say it's a personal brand offer. So the questions that I'm going to be going through, these people are either have a personal brand and they're looking to grow it, or it's a biz opportunity and they're looking to break into personal brand. They want to use personal branding as the vehicle to help get them to financial freedom, get them out of their job, whatever the case may be. Okay. So that's going to be the niche for this sort of situation. But a lot of these questions you could apply to any niche specifically. Keep in mind that every niche is going to be a little bit different. Some niches are a lot more focused on like the numbers and the logistics, in my opinion, especially for like B2B offers. B2C, it's a lot more, you could get into the sauce per se a lot sooner before getting into the numbers. But either way, you're still going to do data gathering, ownership, all that fun stuff. But without further ado, let's just hop straight into this video. Starting off with the open-ended questions. Okay. Now, by far the maybe most common used open-ended questions would probably be what. Okay, it's great for any part of the discovery, whether that's data gathering or ownership. My opening question is always, what is your biggest challenge growing your personal brand? What is the biggest challenge making more money with trading right now, whatever the niche is? The biggest reason why this is important to start off with in the beginning of your sales calls is you always want to set the tone and focus on the problem at hand at first, right? If for some reason the prospect comes into this call thinking that they're just shopping around or things are going good and they don't have that much of a problem, you always need to start off with this right now. Because guess what? If they don't have a big and significant enough challenge to get this fixed, they're not going to close on the call, right? And if they don't close on the call, the chances of them closing in the future goes down by over 50%, probably like close to 80 to 90%. Okay. So always start off with the biggest challenge. Okay. And then these are just some other what example questions. What about your job do you not like? If someone says that they don't like their job, you could either go down the why route, we'll get into that here in a little bit, or you could go into, okay, what about your job do you specifically not like? So have them pinpoint the 1 to 2 things. It's usually one thing specifically that they do not enjoy about their job: money, time, hard labor. Those are just a few examples. This is a very specific example. All these examples that I'm giving you guys, I was literally just replaying a few of my sales calls I've had previously, just in general across like different niches, and I boiled it down to like a few commonly what questions that I'm making. So to give you guys a bit more context on where I'm getting these questions from, what happened next? Let's say they told you, oh yeah, let's say they told you that, yeah, 3 months ago I heard my manager talking to an employee that we might be going out of business here pretty soon. Okay. And when you heard that conversation, what happened after that? Well, yeah, I told my wife, and the look on her face scared me. Okay, why did it scare you? You know what I mean? So that'd be like an example from that point of view. What do you do when blank happens? What do you do when blank happens? Let's say they're like, oh yeah, I get home from work like tired and I'm exhausted. Okay, so when you get home from work tired and exhausted, what exactly do you do after that? What happens? Right, that'd be another example. What goes through your mind when you hear that number? Now, this is a more data gathering example. So let's say you're in the data gathering phase and you're like, okay, got it. How much did you make last month? Okay, 1,000. How much did you make the month before that? 500. How much the month before that? Zero. Okay, got it. How much have you made total just the past 12 months now that you've been building your personal brand? Let's say they say, if I could pull out my calculator here, let's say they say 4 grand, for example, 4 grand divided by 12 months. So right now you're making $333 an hour. Is that accurate? Yeah, it's accurate. Okay, how many hours per week are you actually spending building your personal brand? I'd say minimum like 15. Okay, 15 hours per week. That's 60 hours per month. Has that been pretty consistent the past 12 months, the past year now since you've been building your personal brand? Yes. Okay, got you. So you spent 720 hours building your personal brand. Is that accurate? Yeah, it's accurate. Okay, got you. So you've made 4 grand the past 12 months and you spent 720 hours. So that means you're making $5.55 per hour that you've spent looking back the past year that you've been building your personal brand. Is that accurate? What goes through your mind when you hear that number? Right? So that'd be like an example of how to use that one. What impact do you feel like that's having on your wife or kids? That's pretty much like a common question, but you can't really ask this too soon. Otherwise, it's going to be too premature. It's just not going to land the same, and it just comes off too salesy because you don't have enough pain or gap built yet in order to like ask this question. So this one, be careful with. But this is another good, powerful what question. What have you done the past 12 months in order to actually grow your personal brand? So this is getting a little bit more into ownership because if they haven't tried anything, it's like, bro, okay, you haven't tried anything. Like, what are you doing with your time then, right? What other areas of your life are being affected as a result of you working 60 hours per week? So this gets into the relationship side of things. How are your relationships being affected? Are you physically being affected? Like, are you able to like work out and like take care of yourself, right? Are you mentally being affected? That's another area of life. Something going on even spiritually inside that, like, let's say they're like a religious person, for example. Is this affecting like the spiritual area of your life in any way, shape, or form, right? So this would be super powerful. How I like to think about this question, it's like it's like this is a pretty dark analogy, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Marines and army and just people in general that serve in the military, when they go out to like the Middle East and they're like searching an area or they're just marching or whatever the case may be, sometimes there's minefields and unfortunately a lot of people have either lost their lives or even lost their limbs from those mines, right? When you ask what other areas of your life have been affected as a result of this, by the time you've asked this, you've probably already found out one area of their life is being affected, finances, right? That's usually the case. Getting into other areas of your life, you're like, is there any other minds in the field that I should know about before I decide like when to like take my next step, right? Oh, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So these are like different minds in the field, but you would have never known that they were there if you didn't ask what other areas of your life are being affected as a result of XYZ. So that's kind of like how I'm thinking when I ask this question. I'm trying to find different minds in the field so that I can identify what what my following question should be before I take a next step, because I don't want to take a step and then it be a bomb, but that bomb actually isn't even the biggest bomb there is, right? It's just like something small. It's not going to do much damage to me, right? So that's kind of like what's going through my mind when I'm asking those types of questions. But by all means, I feel like what is super self-explanatory, but hopefully, you guys were able to use some of these questions into your discovery as well. Now, getting into why, if you go look back at your sales calls, I've done it several times when I'm realized like, man, if I would have just asked why, I would have got like maybe 1 to 2 more layers deep, right? So I feel like a lot of people overlook in high ticket sales. They're just simply not asking why enough, right? Great to dig deeper when prospect doesn't clarify how or why the what is important and significant. So the why is usually going to come after the what for the most part. So there's a variety of ways you could ask why questions. You could literally just ask it straight up why, just why, with nothing, with no context after that. Why not just have your buddy teach you if he's already making the level of income you want to make in order to quit your job? I actually really enjoy this question. I've been implementing it quite a bit on some of my recent sales calls. The why this question is important and it's pretty powerful is because it's super unattached from the outcome, right? Think about it. I'm like, why not have your buddy teach you if he's already making 10 grand a month with your personal brand? And that's the income you need to be making in order to quit your job. Think about that. I'm literally leaning out and I'm literally having him explain to me, why are you on this sales call, bro? Like in the beginning of the sales call, if they give me any red flags to like why I think why I'm like, bro, like why are you even on this sales call? Like why not just go do that instead? You know what I mean? I'm gonna call that out because it's super detached, and detachment is super important in sales just in general, because the more the prospect feels that you're detached and you don't really care about their money at all, the more that they're actually going to want to lean in. So asking why questions like this could be super powerful as well. Why did you invest with that program before doing your research and due diligence on them beforehand? That's a pretty powerful one when people have invested into several mentorships or courses in the past and they've never been a success with them. There's usually two reasons why they haven't been. It wasn't a success for them. Either it was a crappy program, and that's still their fault for investing into that program. If it was a crappy program, because that means they didn't do their research and due diligence on them beforehand. The second thing is they just weren't committed in the first place. It was a great program. They just didn't put the work in. They didn't commit the time. They didn't commit the energy. They didn't commit the resources. They didn't commit pretty much anything enough, at least make it work for them in the first place. Why is building this so important for you in the first place? Great question to ask when you feel like you're getting a good amount of stuff from the prospect, but you feel like they're still beating around the bush, and you feel like you just need to jump the gun and get straight to the point of like, why is this important for you, bro? Like, you could be honest with me. You know what I mean? Um, this was a lengthy one, but it's still pretty good. Why do you think it has gone to the point now where you have 3 months until this is very specific, by the way? It's super specific, but I wanted to use a specific example to give you guys more context. Why do you think it has gone to the point now where you have 3 months until you have to provide for another human in your life? And as of right now, you would not be able to fulfill that responsibility to the level of comfort your wife wants you to, right? Like, why do you feel like it has gotten to this point? Why do you feel like you're in this spot now? Why do you feel like you haven't been able to solve XYZ problem? Right. So those are some pretty good examples as well. Why now? I mean, you could wait another 3 months since the baby is not here yet, and you already haven't tried anything in the past 6 months that you've already been aware that your wife's pregnant. So why now? Now, why now's questions you always have to make sure to ask them at the right time, because if they're too premature, they're just not going to land the same way. It's going to build a bunch of sales resistance. So there's only realistically speaking only one time that you could ask certain questions in your sales calls, and why now is definitely going to be one of them. So you shouldn't be asking that more than once, if I'm just being honest. Um, Getting into ideal criteria a little bit. So towards the end of the discovery, after you got through all the pain and stuff, why us? I mean, there's a bunch of other mentorships and programs that help others um, basically learn and scale their personal brand. Why us? What did you see or hear from us that attracted your attention to us? Right. So that'd be a good one as well. It's like, tell me why you want to move forward with us. Because if you don't give me a good enough reason for you to want to move forward with us, why would I want to walk you through the program if you don't even feel confident in us in the first place, right? So why us, right? That's a pretty good one as well. But why, just to summarize, ask more whys on your sales calls. Super powerful, especially when you add context around it with very specific situations and just why you're always going to get 1 to 2 layers deeper, right? Now getting into where. Now with where, it's not as commonly used, but it still helps you paint the picture and paint the overall scenery of what's going on in the prospect's life specifically, and it helps you like truly like visualize specific events that have happened either recently or things that have been going on for an extended period of time as well. Okay, so just to give you guys a few examples, where where were you when your wife went to your daughter's dance? Right. So that's a very specific one. It has them send the pain. Yeah, I was at work. Okay, guys. So you were at work while your wife was at your daughter's dance, and the reason why you're at work in the first place is because your boss called you in to take on someone's shift, and you didn't have the power to say no to that. Otherwise, he would have let you go. Is that accurate? Yeah. Now I'm literally having him send the pin. So that's a very specific example. That's super powerful. Where are you at now in regards to your belief around the possibility of building your brand online? So this example could be used for a variety of different red flags that a prospect brings up. So for this specific example, the red flag that the prospect would have brought up in the beginning of the call for whatever reason would be like, yeah, I just figured that personal brand could potentially be a good route in the future. I'm still kind of like analyzing, trying to determine if this is something I want to do or not. Okay, I'm not gonna continue the call, bro. Of like, you don't tell me that this is something you 100% want to get to, because I'm not here to convince you and persuade you that personal brand is the vehicle you want to use. By the time you hop on this call, you need to come to that consensus. Now, what I just said right now, I'm obviously not going to say that to the prospect because that's just weird. That's just what I'm thinking in my head. How am I going to put that into words? Okay, Mr. Prospect, where are you at now in regards to your belief system around the possibility of building your brand online as a vehicle for yourself and your family, right? So it's like, bro, I'm not moving on until you tell me where's your head at right now. This is another example. Where is your mind? Where's your thoughts at right now? This you could use as a variety of different points in the sales process. It really just depends on the specific situation. When I would use this would be like, so it sounds like you've had quite a few things going on the past couple months now in terms of your time being spent elsewhere, in terms of hospital bills, and you've just had a lot of personal things going on right now. Where is your mind at right now when it comes to just truly making this work for yourself? So it's almost like temp checking the prospect, but also just being more human to them. It's almost like a "How are you doing now? How are you holding up?" type of question, but it's more so asking them where is their mind at right now in regards to everything. Or even let's say you have a big summarization and you summarize so much pain, you summarize so much data in one very specific point in the sales process. You're like, based off everything I just shared with you right there, where's your mind at right now? What are your thoughts on all that? Right? What are your thoughts on all the numbers that we just broke down? That you're making about $5.55 per hour if we were just to look back the past year that you've been building your personal brand. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Right? That'd be another example. Getting into other people in their personal life. Where's your wife's mind at in regards to this entire situation? Right? So let's say before you ask this question, you're like, does your wife know the severity of this issue that in 3 months from now, you're not going to be able to provide to the level that you want to for yourself and your soon to be kid on the way? Like, is she aware of that? Yes, she is. Okay, where's her mind at? Where are her thoughts at in regards to this entire situation? So it's expanding the problem from themselves and ownership onto their loved ones as well. If you would play now, this one didn't start off as where, but it's still pretty much a word question. If you would place how important this is to get this fixed right now, 10 being the highest, where would you rank it at? Right. So this gives you, this could be like a where or what type of question. What would you rank it at? Where would you rank it at? Whereas another example, it's a pretty good data gathering question. I would only ask this question for prospects that give this sort of vibe off of like they don't really seem that serious to get this fixed right now at a specific point in the discovery after getting quite a bit of data. Or let's say they have all these goals, they start listing off all these goals or what they want to do, what their goals are just in general. That's when it's time to get very specific on where is this at on your priority list on a scale of 1 to 10. Like how severe is it for you to get this fixed right now? Because if you're selling a 5K, 10K, 20K package, if it's not at least a 9, then their chances are they're not going to buy for the most part. But even if they give you something less than that, you can still challenge them on that and get them to see the severity of the issue. So, I mean, the sell isn't over if they say anything less than a 9, but it gives you like a little temp check of where they're at. And then a great question to ask after that immediately would just be a why question, literally just why by itself. Now, getting into who. Now, with who, this is going to be very powerful because, like I mentioned before, it starts expanding the severity of the issue to the people around them. Now, this is a very true fact that I've came to that realization maybe the past couple of weeks or past couple of months from my sales calls. Some people would rather make a change for their loved ones rather than just themselves. That's why that's why married men are typically more wealthier financially compared to single men, and that's why men with families, wife and kids, are wealthier than people who are just married or people who are just single. Right? This is a very, very true fact, just generally speaking. Who else is this impacting or affecting? Who else is you not being able to spend as much time as you want in the household impacting? Whose responsibility is it in this household to provide financially? Who is taking care of your oh, this is a very powerful one. Who is taking care of your kids due to you having to work late nights at work when your boss calls you and when a employee doesn't show up to a shift for some reason? Who is taking care of your kids? Oh, it's I have to drop them off at daycare. Interesting. Okay, so now you're really having them sit in the pain. Who else do you know is also building their personal brand? This one I truly love too because a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, maybe like 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4 people that are in the are biz opportunities, so they're new to the business model. A good amount of them at least know someone personally who has had somewhat success with that business model specifically, right? And then now you're able to use that data. How much is your buddy making? 10 grand a month. Okay, how long has he been making 10 grand a month? The past 6 months. Okay, and have you always been aware of that? Yes. Okay, and how long have you even been thinking about building your personal brand? To be honest, man, I could say about a year now. Okay, so your buddy's been making 10 grand a month for 6 months now. Um, so you've been thinking about it for the past year now, so that's about 12 months. I'm not saying that if you would have got mentorship sooner, you would have been making 10 grand a month off the bat, but you know it's possible because you literally have a buddy making 10 grand a month. Not getting started 6 months ago has essentially not just costed you 6 months, but 60 grand, right? So it's connecting who they know personally that's successful with that business model to how much time, money, and essentially dreams and aspirations that they lost out on as a result of not taking action sooner, right? So that'd be another example. But yeah, you're not going to use who too many times, but there's definitely maybe once or twice on every sales call where you could get pretty deep using a who type of question. Now, getting into when, this also is a good expander when it comes to the severity of the issue because it lets you know how long the issue has been going on for, when specific events have happened in the prospect's life that has almost been like a pivotal shifting turning point for them. So we could go over some of these as well. When did you begin your personal brand? When did you last try something to fix the issue? When did you hear that your job could be at stake in the next 2 months? When did you become aware that this was an issue in the business? When was that argument you had with your wife? Was it something recent? How long ago was it? Right? And all these questions, whenever a prospect gives you like, Oh, it was a few months ago. Okay, how many months ago specifically? You're always having them clarify and give you specific data points so that we're always being concise, right? Um, yeah, some of these questions are data gathering. Some of them are getting into more like ownership, so to speak. When do they plan on firing half the staff at your job? With the money you have left, when would you have to go back to 9 to 5 if nothing is to change? So this is a great question because it sets a deadline and a yes, it essentially sets a deadline on like, bro. So you're telling me if nothing changes, you're gonna have to go back to your 9 to 5 that you essentially quit your job to go all in on personal branding. You're gonna have to go back to that in 3 months from now as a result of well, not as a result. And the cause of that has been your procrastination or your quote unquote laziness of not taking action when it comes to going out and finding and getting resourceful to go on and find the right guidance. Am I hearing that correct? Yes. Gotcha. Okay. How do you personally feel about that timeline, given the fact that you have 3 months essentially, right? So you're essentially sitting on a ticking time bomb, right? If you want to call it that. But that's a super powerful question as well. Getting into how. Now, how is great for data gathering, but then it's also great for the how much longer question. The how much longer question, Josh Lyons talks a lot about this, but the how much longer question is super powerful to end. I don't want to say always end because that's not always the case, but it's a great way to sort of wrap up the end of the discovery, connecting the cause and the effect as to summarizing their whole lifestyle. This is the cause, this is the effect. Spoiler alert, if you haven't noticed by now, the cause of every crappy situation that the prospect is in is them because they're the only factor that is not changing. Everything else is externally that they don't have control over. But the actions and the decisions and the behaviors that they're taking on is up to them at the end of the day. So the cause is always going to be them, right? And the effect is going to be the pain. Not enough time with the kids. Wife is always arguing with him, talking about getting divorced. They're struggling financially. Credit cards are getting declined now because now they're going into a severe amount of debt. They have to go back to 9 to 5 in 3 months if nothing changes. That's all the effect, right? So that's essentially what you're doing in the how much longer question. But just to start from the top, how is that going for you? I love this question because it's super open ended. And this is a great question to ask, especially in the beginning of the sales call when you're getting into things that they've either tried or just how their personal brand is going. Yeah, how's it going so far for you? Let's say if it's only been 2 months from now, how's it going for you so far? It's super open ended. They could give you so much information literally just by asking them how's it going so far for you. With a prospect isn't really clear or concise on a specific part in the sales process. I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say a prospect says their job is physically demanding. How so? Like how is it physically demanding? Let's say it's construction. Oh, we're super prone to injury because we're in construction, blah blah blah, right? That'd be an example. How much did you make yesterday, last week, or the last 30 days? So this is a great for quantifying and getting the severity of the issue in terms of how much are they making from yesterday, how much did they make last week, how much they make 30 days from now. So you're quantifying everything it's a really good data gathering point. How are you generating leads? How much are you charging? All data gathering. How are things going between you and your wife? It's very open ended, very detached, but you're still curious as to like what's going on at home between you and your wife in regards to the income and the time that you're spending with her. And this is a very specific example. I literally just made up this example, but hopefully this was at least able to help you guys see from a different point of view on how you guys could wrap up the discovery with pretty much everything you took note of. How much longer do you want to be in a position, Mr. Prospect, where your wife is stressed about you not being able to comfortably provide for you, provide for your soon to be child in 3 months, which happens to be the same time period now, where you will have to go back to working 9 to 5, And from there, you're not going to be as present as you would like to be with your soon to be child on the way. And the whole entire cause of this situation has been due to your lack of urgency. And essentially, as you mentioned before, you being lazy when it comes to growing your personal brand right now. How much longer? Another day longer? Another week longer? Another minute longer? How much longer? Right? So that's how I wrap up my discoveries. Not all the time, depends, but like a good amount of the times, it's a great way to ask the how much longer. This is gonna eliminate think about it objections. You're never gonna get any more think about objections if you start implementing the how much longer question. Unless you have like a crappy discovery before this, but you could eliminate a majority of your think about objections just from asking that. Because it's like, bro, if everything makes sense at the end of this call, are you truly gonna tell me that you're going to continue living this lifestyle that I just summarized for you right now? Like if you like it'd be very sad for them to say yes, and they'd hop off the call with so much regret if they said no to an opportunity that they feel like is going to help transform their life in every aspect that we just covered right here, right? Now, getting into close-ended questions, right? Is, are, was, were, has, have, had, can, could, will, would. Okay, we can start with the top. I didn't give you guys any examples from these because you could literally, it really just depends. You could literally ask like these questions from like any niche, like any sort of prospect. They're more so better for clarifying and getting hard tie downs on definite yeses or nos, right? Because a lot of prospects, when you start getting deep with them, sometimes as a defense mechanism, they'll start giving you these wishy-washy responses because they don't want to admit that something is going to happen or something is not going to happen, right? So we can start with the top one. Um, is is there any chance that 3 months from now your boss is going to let you go due to what has been going on at work the past couple months now? Yes. Okay, interesting. What is the likelihood that you do get let go in the next 3 months if you were just to rank your confidence level in whether or not you're going to have a job 3 months from now, right? That'd be a close-ended question and an opening question after that. That'd be an example. Are you going to get fired in the next 3 months? It's pretty much like the same thing. Was/were. Was there ever a time where you miss an event either from your wife or either from a kid or either from just anyone in your family as a result of your boss calling you into work due to an employee not being able to make a shift? Yes. Okay. When was the last time that happened? Oh, a month ago. Okay. What event was that specifically? Oh, it was my daughter's birthday. Interesting. And then now that that's pain. I'm not going to continue going, but I hope you guys could see like how I'm tying the close ended into the open ended. Close endeds are very good to start off with. Not when I say start off with, I'm not talking about like you're gonna just read off a bunch of close ended questions in the beginning, but they're good to start off with before you dig deep into finding the mines in the field, the analogy I mentioned earlier, before you dig deep into essentially trying to find the treasure of like the root, the gold essentially. The gold is not good essentially, but it's good for the prospect because they need to hear it because you're not here to tell them what they want to hear. You're here to tell them what they need to hear, right? So if so, if actually not if so wouldn't be a close ended. Was there a time? Yeah, so that'd be an example for the one I just gave you guys. Was/were. Okay. Has, have, had. Have you ever sat down and look at the numbers that we just went over? That you're essentially making $5.55 per hour? No. Why haven't you? Well, I guess I've been scared to look at the numbers because I know that the numbers haven't been great. Okay, do you feel like that has taken a part of 6 months has gone by now and your income level hasn't increased at all? Matter of fact, it's decreased. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, now I'm getting into more like probing and like clarifying. Can/could. Let me think of an example from this. Can slash could. Could you clarify? Yeah, could you clarify would be a good one. Could you clarify what you mean by that? Actually, not. What do you mean would be getting into more open ended. Can you can slash could can slash could actually might be the most least sort of closed ended question there is. I got one for you guys. Can I be direct with you, John? And then you could share your perspective with them. Or can I don't like can I share my perspective. I like just saying, can I be direct with you? Can I just be fully transparent with you, John? Can I have a honest father to father conversation with you, John? Can I have a honest business owner to business owner conversation with you, John? Right? And then you could basically call him out on his BS. Now, you because he gave you the door to be able to do that. Will slash would. Will slash would. Would you ever? I don't want to say would. Will, bro. I really can't think of will or would. Yeah, I'm having a brain fart right now, guys. Will or would? Will you? I honestly can't think of will or would right now. Yeah, I have nothing for you guys for this one. I know will or would. It's a yes or no response, right? Like, will you? Like you ask. I just proposed to my girlfriend recently. I said, "Will you marry me?" Right? It's a yes or no response, right? Um, will yeah, will you will you get fired or will you get fired or will you? Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna skip that one for you guys because I can't really think of any good ones I could think of that I could give you guys right now. But these are the types of closed-ended questions that you are essentially going to be using. Now they go hand in hand. If I was just to summarize this whole video for you guys, open-ended questions are great. You should always prioritize asking open-ended questions. You're still going to ask closed-ended questions though. You're never going to only ask open-ended questions and never ask closed-ended questions at all on a sales call. Um, the whole purpose of open-ended questions are to let your prospect speak, right? Give them the mic, and for prospects that are very closed off or you're asking open-ended question after open-ended question after open-ended question, there has to become a point where you have to start asking more closed-ended questions, because if you don't, then you're not going to get anywhere in the sales process, because they're just being around the bush so much that you need to start closing the questions off to start maneuvering them, not like they're your little puppet and you're just playing with them, but for their own sake, right? For their own family's sake, right? For their kids' sake, for their wife's sake, for their whoever's sake in their family's life, right? That's the whole purpose of when you should start asking more closed-ended questions. But for the most part, you should be focusing more so on what, why, when, who, where, how types of questions, all open-ended questions. Okay. I'm gonna wrap up the video from there. Hopefully, that was able to help you guys in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. If you guys have any questions on just anything in your discovery or sales process, by all means, you guys are more than welcome to shoot me a text on Instagram, CCompion JJ. I truly appreciate you guys for watching this video. I love you guys so much, and I'm gonna continue to post my journey, moving on into the future with you guys, and I'm super excited for what 2026 has in plans. We still have 2 more months, so still need to finish off Q4 strong in high ticket sales, but nonetheless, super blessed and grateful to have you guys along the journey. And if you guys have any questions, you guys could even pop in the comment section as well. Hope you guys have a blessed day. God bless you guys. Take care and keep crushing it. Keep changing people's lives in high ticket sales. God bless you guys, and I will see you guys on the next one.